Work session for September 7th. Mr. Burgess, would you lead us in prayer?
Most gracious Heavenly Father, Father, we thank you again, Lord, for watching over us, Father, and for taking care of us. Father, we thank you, Lord, for shedding your blood, Father, to cover our sins, Lord Jesus. Father, we ask you now, Lord, to be with each and every one that's here, Father. Father, we ask you, Lord, to bless their minds tonight, Lord, that they make the best decision, Lord, for this county here, Father. Father, be with the ones that couldn't make it. And Father, be with the ones going through this dreaded diseases right now, Father. Father, watch over them, take care of us, lead, guard, guide, and direct us. We give you all the honor, all the praise, and all the glory, for it's in your sweet and blessed and very most holiest name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Amen. If everyone stand for the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Reed? Ms. Hayes? Mr. Williams? Mr. Petty? Mr. Ellis? Mr. Buckner? Ms. Spicer? Mr. Dawson? Mr. Beatty? Mr. McElwain? Mr. Eby? Mr. Simpkins?
Do have a quorum. Ms. Hayes is out. She's still having some recovery from her surgery. I think, Becky, you talked to Abigail today, her daughter. Can you report to us in detail her issue?
I think she put ice in her shoulder a little too soon, and she's kind of had a setback with her shoulder. And she's been up with today's Josh's birthday, and he died here for Saturday, so
Y'all remember Commissioner Hayes on that. Mr. Eby called. He's had something else today. First order of business is approval of the August 2nd, 2021 minutes. Do I have a motion? Motion by Commissioner McElwain, second by Commissioner Buckner. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item is committee reports. Are there any committees report? Hearing none, the first order of business under new business financial report, all school funds, Board of Education representative, that's Dr. Danny Weeks tonight. These have been sent to you. Y'all should have those. Are there any questions for Dr. Weeks? Now, these are for the financial reports only. He'll have an amendments on this second portion. Any questions for Dr. Weeks? Hearing none, I'll open the floor for a motion to move this on to regular session. Motion by Commissioner Spicer, second by Commissioner Beatty. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next, item number 2 is amend budget, all school funds. Dr. Weeks.
Thank you, Mayor Rao. Commissioners, at our last Board of Education meeting, the board approved an amendment to our budget which would transfer $400,000 from our general fund balance over to our federal funds fund balance. And we need to do that because of the ESSER money that's coming to us from the state and the federal government. Those dollars are flow-through dollars that come to us, so we must spend that money out of our fund balance and then get reimbursed for those dollars. And usually that process takes up to 2 to 3 weeks to do, and so we certainly don't want to put ourselves in any position with the trustee's office where we would be in a negative fund balance situation or anything like that. We always want to keep that positive fund balance to be in compliance with laws. And so we have the money in our fund balance in our general fund, and we'd simply like to transfer $400,000 over that to our federal fund, so it's kind of kept as a fund balance. It's all going to be reimbursed. We just need that as a cushion really in our checking account, basically, is the way we need to do that. So our board approved a resolution at their last meeting that we transfer $400,000 from regular fund balance over to our federal funds fund balance.
This is something that Mr. Hall has reviewed for us, and he is in agreement. This is a viable financial move. It is helpful to the school board. Any questions for Dr. Weeks? I'll open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Beatty, second by Commissioner McElwain. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Weeks. Item number 3 is Memorial Committee revision. In 2013, we established a Memorial Committee to review applications for road namings and different things of that type. At that time, when we did the resolution, it's a 5-member committee. We had the chairman pro tem of the regular session and work session, the county historian, and 2 individuals are appointed to it. When we did that resolution in 2013, it listed in that all of the individuals by name. So that was kind of something we want to come back and revisit, because those individuals aren't available to us right now. So we want to just set it up as a committee that we appoint either annually or biannually, where they can review these applications for road namings or bridge names and things of that type. So the Memorial Committee will still be in place, but it will take out the specific people listed where they were listed by name, and we'll just have appointments made to that. That's a revision we're looking at. I'll open the floor for a motion to move this to regular session. Motion by Commissioner Simpkins to have a second. Second by Commissioner Petty. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 4 is reduced speed limit on Swift Road. Somehow my name got on that, and that's Commissioner Beatty. I have a feeling if it's on his side of the road.
Well, and I was just gonna say, I'm gonna ask Mr. Jackson back there, I've been talking to him about this thing. Help me out and kinda tell the commission, come on, that you help me on this one.
There's only one house on the road, but that road is a cut through coming from Highway 48 over to Soul Chapel Road. And the man that lives there, he's got grandkids, and he's just afraid that it's a short road, but a lot of people in a hurry going to work and coming home. He's just afraid that they're gonna end up running off the road, getting into his yard, possibly hitting one of his grandkids.
And it's a 45, and we're asking to go to
It is
35.
a 45, yes.
I'm asking for
35. That's good. And if it's okay with you, Commissioner Beatty, I'll take it as a motion, and we always have Highway and the Sheriff's Department review it. That's fine. That's a motion by Commissioner Beatty. To have a second. Second by Commissioner Reed. Sheriff, do you think that'll give y'all enough time to report back by the 20th?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. That's proper motion second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 5, partial road closure of Mcclurkin Road. And this also got my name on it. Who's Mcclurkin Road? Is that you, Commissioner McElwain? Yeah. Commissioner McElwain, who's going to speak to that? Highway or? Okay, zoning? Just pick one out of there.
At the end of Mcclurkin Road off of Yellow Creek, Dennis Phillips has bought the property at the very end. What they want to do is put up a fence and a gate. The last 110 foot of it is in gravel. In the package you have from last time, you'll see it comes right up into their front yard. They met the highway department out there, they measured it, and they said that is the end of the road. So they want to close that, where the asphalt part is, they're going to actually put down gravel and make a turnaround, which right now there is not.
Commissioner McElwain, that's your motion?
Yeah, they have spoken to me about it, I spoke to Jack.
Thank you. That's a motion by Commissioner McElwain. To have a second. Second by Commissioner Simpkins. Any questions or discussion?
You said they were going, I know that's some issues I got down in my end. There's not really any, turnaround sometimes, but they are.
No, they're actually going to make about a 50 or 60 foot area. Right now, it just basically dead ends in their front yard, but at this point, no buses go down it.
Good. Any other questions? We have a proper motion and a second on this issue. There's no other discussion. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. What's your name? He's been, he fought through COVID. He's been gone so long, I haven't seen him. There's a little less of him since I've seen him last two, so we got to fatten him back up. The next item on here, these have my name on it, and the sheriff is going to help if y'all got any questions. It looked like I was assigned everything tonight. So I'll fight through it. This one's easy. The Sheriff's Office's postage meter renewal agreement. This is a budgeted item. The reason it comes before the commission is it's over a 1-year term. It's a 36-month term. So to sign a lease over a year, we need your approval. So open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Buckner, second by Commissioner Petty. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The next item we have is also a budgeted item, and it falls into that same category because it's a 2-year term. It comes back before you. It's a life check system. It's a monitoring system that the bailiffs can use with the whole mobile devices and belt clip folders, belt clip holster holders, where they can review and look at prisoners and be recorded during that. And Sheriff, it's much like a camera that a deputy would wear out on the road. Is that correctly done?
It's an actual body. It has dual functions. One is a body camera. Number two, as the mayor pointed out, they'll do security checks with this. This system will, we have someone on suicide watch. It'll send an alarm 1 minute before they're supposed to be checked. If it goes beyond that check, however we set it up, it could call me in 5 minutes and say, there's an urgent check, nobody's checked it. So it does several different functions, and basically they walk up when they're gonna do a pod, and they'll scan barcode, and then they go in, there's the software is hosted, it's in the cloud, so we don't have to upgrade servers, a bunch of other stuff. I really feel like it, and we feel like it'll reduce our liability issues in the jail by having this system.
Thank you, Sheriff. Any questions for Sheriff on that? We'll open the floor to motion to send this on a regular session. Motion by Commissioner Williams, second by, there were so many at one time, it made me dizzy. I'm going to start with the read and work to my left. Any questions? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Y'all were enthusiastic with the motion, but very unenthusiastic. Y'all, let's do the wave next time, but holler out next time. Let's all just join in. It's participation for it. The next one's the courtroom security grant. I'm going to let the sheriff speak to this. The reason we're getting a grant for $100,000 for some things to be done in the Justice Center. The issue on this, the reason we're looking at it, the grant's 100%, but to get all the equipment we need, it's going to take an additional $10,864. We have money in the courtroom security fund to match that, but I'm going to let Sheriff Eads explain exactly what this is.
Yeah, we applied for it, got to further enhance video arraignments, visitation, video visits with attorneys, and it will be some upgrades in the jail. Currently, we have 2 rooms, and up it to 5 rooms total. In addition, I think all the court rooms will get upgrades to have that ability for video arraignment. Not just due to COVID, but sometimes that might be the best way to work out on cases that they can use that. And so we were fortunate enough to apply. We have several other counties in our district also get some money for those, but we feel like this is a great opportunity to expand what we already have in a great criminal justice system that y'all built, but this is an enhancement that we can use grant money at no cost to our direct cost to our local taxpayers.
Any questions, Sheriff? So again, the reason this is before us is because it's an amendment that we take money out of the courthouse security funds, which we have ample funds in there to match this. We've got I think, well, there's nobody here to look at for me, so we got over $100,000 in there. I can't tell you exactly how much, but we appreciate the Sheriff's Department applying for the grant. Well, we spend 1 and they spend 10. That's a pretty good ratio. Let's see. Okay, I'll open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Spicer, second by Commissioner Buckner. Any questions for the sheriff or myself? Hearing none. All in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. Very good. Okay, we really are back to me now. The next is Project Night Pilot. On your desk, and Mr. Wilson, you distributed those already. on there, we do a pilot program through the Industrial Development Board. Oh, he is distributing them. Through the Industrial Development Board, where it's a standard 7-year pilot, which is, you all know, and just for clarification, it's payment in lieu of taxes. We do that an incentive for a new business to come in, where we give them a preferred tax rate where they'll come in and make an immediate investment in our community. I think what Mr. Wilson is giving you is the pilot, that's a standard pilot that is proposed, that the Industrial Development Board has the authority to give at any time. This project was a little bigger and they were looking for a little more incentive. So we countered, they gave us an incentive they want, which we found unacceptable, but we found a compromise, which is what you see on the bottom of your page. What it does, it extends out the pilot for additional 3 years. But the thing we did to help us, we start earning revenue immediately. Project Night is a food production company. As we announced probably about a year ago that ConAgra was closing their plant here in Dickson, but we've been able to work with them, being led by Mr. Wilson back here, our Economic Development Officer, to find a company to replace it. They do not want their name public at this time, but what they will bring to us is $50 million investments and 342 jobs. 420, I have dyslexia. That's even better. So 420 jobs. Just holler out the wage on that also, Mr. Wilson.
Average wage would be $20 an hour.
So what this does is it not only saves the jobs we had with ConAgra, but increases it. It carries our taxable amount up to $50 million on personal property. This is personal property, which means business property. It does not include the real estate. The real estate will be paid at the normal portions whenever they complete that transfer of their purchase from ConAgra on that. So this is our pilot. I'll be glad to answer any general questions on it. Mr. Wilson can give you detailed answers, but this is a pilot that we worked on and we recommend. The city of Dickson also has this pilot, and on the 20th of this month, that was the next meeting, the Dickson City Council. I've talked with Mayor Weiss about this, and they're in favor of this also.
So the personal properties, it's gonna be assessed at 50 million, you said?
50 million would be the value of it. And of course, it has getting the depreciation value where it goes down becomes worth 20%, but we're only left at this point when ConAgra leaves was at $750,000 in personal property. All the property's going, and it was not valued. What was it valued at, Ms. Wilson? 2.5 million, so it's devalued, so we're replacing that with 50 million. But we're only earning 10% in taxes initially, graduated up over the 10-year period. That's different than our normal pilot, but that's why we bring it to you, because anything outside the 7-year pilot, it requires legislative body approval. I'm sorry, what?
Where are they gonna get the people to work?
Well, the good news is,
If there's nobody in Dickson, I mean, a lot of the restaurants closed down, we can't get no help. I mean, you know, it's bad out there. Where they gonna get all them people?
well, we're gonna let that be their business decision, but in my opinion is, there was 300 people working at ConAgra, so we've saved their jobs. So I guess we need to go to Houston County that has 10% unemployment, and Perry County that has the worst unemployment state, and start busing them in. The other good thing is these are $20 an hour jobs, so we don't incentivize anything for minimum wage or $10 an hour anymore. The goal is we incentivize businesses, they add to our community and make it better, and $20 an hour is a good wage, no matter who you are, where you are. So, but you're right. We, in some points, if you look at our Facebook page today, we put out the news that Dickson County has the 6th lowest unemployment in the state. So if we're victims of anything, we're a victim of our own success. It's better than being where we were 11 years ago when we had double-digit unemployment. So a little tickled about this. But the company believes in Dickson County and the work ethic enough that they want to come here and be a part of it. And that excites me. You can see it on my face. What we're asking for tonight is to move this on to regular session. Motion by Commissioner Simpkins, second by Commissioner Buckner. Before we go forward, if you have any questions in the meantime, over the next 13 days, please reach out to me. But this is a very good project. It's a company that's been around for a long time, and they'll make their public announcement here shortly, but it's something to be very proud of. So we do have a proper motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 9, road paving borrowing. On your desk, we're gonna have a little math class right now. You see the legal sheet of paper right here. That's our debt service projection budget, and I think everybody's been around long enough to know what we do, but I'll tell what we do anyways. After we all got here, the group of us in 2010, we were saddled with a debt on a jail and a jail that was not properly staffed. So at that point in time, it was one of those, it was purchased, but we had to figure out how to pay for it. And I think the promise that I made along with the commissioners that time was we'd never get ourselves in that position again. So we had Mr. Hall worked on at that time doing a debt service projection out as far as the future as you can. Because the length of paper, it stops at the year 2040, 41. It actually goes out to 2044. Mr. Hall's math is always it's like Arab or Hebrew. He's right to left instead of left to right. So if you look at our present year over there, it's on the right-hand side, fiscal year 2021, 2022. Just to point out how conservative we are about this, you notice that we put in 34 cents in property tax servicing of debt. That's one of your top lines there all the way across. We not only use 34 cents, but we use the value of the penny today. So when we're doing these, it's extraordinarily conservative. We're assuming we'll never take in more than 34 cents to pay debt, and we're assuming now that we'll never earn more than $138,000 a penny, all the way through 2041 on this projection. So because we've been doing this for 11 years, what occurs annually is whenever our collections are better on this and variable rates stay low, we have excess funds in this. And so last year, as you recall, we borrowed, I forgot the exact figure, it was $1 million, $2 million? We borrowed something to pave roads. I think it was 2 last year. So what we did, on this, even though there's money in here, we can't take it out and transfer it to another fund because the state's worried that some hillbilly county will turn around and just spend this all day and get their debts messed up. So we understand that, so we're going to abide by the law. But what it does do in the fiscal year 2020-21 is that on this page, you'll notice this midsection, these are projected projects. This is a working copy, but this is what we projected we may do in the future. As you see in fiscal year 2025, there's a $1.625 million debt that starts there. And then that goes on for 2 years. That's interest-only payments. Then we're assuming a $2.6 million a year payment for a $32.5 million project. I do it at the worst case scenario, and I do it at 5%. Counties, we don't borrow at 5%. We're borrowing 1.5% and 2% now. But again, when I do a projection, I look for the worst day because I come from a family full of hand wringers. So we have that. The next in here on fiscal year 28, we show a $402,000 annual debt coming along. That's a $5 million expansion to the jail. We've laid that out there. These have been 2 working items after we got the Burns School online and the Justice Center online. These were 2 remaining projects. Of course, for us to do these, they require your approval. We're not to that point yet because the school is in the process of putting their plans together, but we had to throw something out there just as a measuring stick to show if we can afford it and when we can afford it. If you go almost to the bottom of the page and I highlighted, there's a row of percentages. If you start under the fiscal year 22, which says 98%, you follow those all the way out, you see the percentages change, typically going lower and then reappearing and starting to go back up again. What we've done on that is we know from a standard that our fund balance and debt service never needs to get below 20%. So we use this standard so we know out in the year 2000, 32, we will be at 48%, which is still excellent, but it shows we have latitude to borrow because we're never going to, either this commission, this mayor, or one's coming after us, we're never going to leave a project out there unfunded unless the commission chooses to do something outside these bounds, which of course will be this commission or any other commissions right on that. I just think it's important we stop to explain this every time. We kind of know where we're going years from now after we're all gone. We want to leave somebody a roadmap. They can obviously change it, come up with different ideas, but we need to leave something in line that we kind of know what we're doing, that we're planning on future expenses, but we're borrowing this money. The most important thing I think the taxpayers see in this is we don't have to raise property taxes to borrow this money. So that's the plan, so I want to bring you back to that. So I just told you a long story to bring you back to the first right-handed column. You will notice in this about midways down in that dark color, $1.53 million on that. If you follow that project over to the other side, that's highway paving. What I'm suggesting we do again this year, we've got $500,000 from the state government that we placed in the highways budget to pave. Last month, after we closed the books in capital outlay, we were overfunded in that. We took $500,000 out of that to also put it in highway. And then I'm suggesting now that we take $1.5 million out of debt service and put it with highway again, which will match the $2 million we did last year plus an additional $500,000, where we're on the road, we're on the road to having all the roads paved and in good condition. We've had conversations, Mr. Burgess and Mr. Hodges, over this, along with several on the county commission. We're doing such a good job on the back roads and getting them up to speed. A lot of the roads that are left are state aid roads, which means the state basically will pay to have those roads paved, but they're letting the money out with an eyedropper. So we're also suggesting on some of this money, we have some roads, and we can list them, but I think you're familiar with Maple Valley. That's one that's in pretty bad condition, state aid road. Old 48 here in Charlotte, Merle Road, which I don't necessarily think is a state aid road, but we're talking about some of the longer roads that we can really get knocked out, and this money can go a long way of helping take care of that. So we could sit and wait on the state money, but our citizens don't understand that, and I wouldn't either, and especially when we have money available to go and get this stuff and get it done right. So all that being said, I gave you a nice long speech in a math class just to say we're going to amend the highway budget by borrowing $1.5 million that will be paid off by the end of this fiscal year because the money's there. And it's already been calculated in what you're looking at to continue to pave roads in Dickson County. And we're also want to do some sign upgrades on some of the beat up signs in the county and get those up to speed where they're more clear on the roads and intersections, things of that type. Open the floor for questions on all this. Commissioner Beatty.
Question, and I'm all for this, but my question is, if we do some of those state aid roads with our county money, would we ever be reimbursed by the state? You know, if we did the Maple Valley and it was a state aid, but we paid for it, could we still turn that in and get our state money back? It just may be a year or two later?
My understanding is no on that, once we do that.
Okay,
But
we kind of forfeited our, once we paid it.
But you know, we can, again, with Maple Valley, and I'll speak to ones, we had an accident which had nothing to do with the road other than, I mean, it was the driver, but had a fatality on your Boca Road, Merle Road. There's been some patch paving done on that, but it's still rough as a cob, and Commissioner Buckner and I have talked about that. Old 48 that runs from Staten all the way back into town, that's a heavily traveled road. So, I mean, the question comes, you know, do we wait on the state, which could potentially take 5 or 6 years, or are we going to get it done now? So that's the question. That's for y'all to decide.
If we forfeited our state aid, or
Right.
if we maybe could get some of it, but like I said, I think we need to do it.
Well, I was given a good list of all the state aid roads by Mr. Burgess, Mr. Hodges, and there's quite a number on them, and be glad to share that list with you. But I think as taxpayer Dickson County, I want my road paved, and we have the money to do it right now. And you know, when you find back roads and dead end roads that are better on roads that have 45-mile-an-hour speed limits and heavy traffic, I think for the safety of our citizens, we know better than the state right now, is my opinion. That's why I suggest we do it. Commissioner Ellis.
Any real bad damage on any of the roads from the recent flooding?
We've had damage on that, and I'm gonna report it later. All the damage we had, we lost no bridges, we lost approaches to bridges, and some pavement that was damaged, but that's FEMA money that will be reimbursed on. We have to meet a $300,000 damage assessment, and we met that and then some. So federal government will be doing that. We'll have them repaired, but we're not gonna wait on the federal money to come back, because that could take up to 2 or 3 years at times. But that's why we have a healthy fund balance to take care of those things. Any other questions? Well, I'm looking for a motion and a second to move this on to regular session. Motion by McElwain, second by Reed. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. On Project Night, I didn't write down the motions on that. Did you get them? Okay, that's fine, as long as you got them. Okay, good. But can you read them on writing? Maybe the problem. On this, there's one other that we would like to add to this, to the agenda. The resolution's already spelled out, but as you know, we jointly own a piece of property in the industrial park that's been referred to as the Canterbury site. It's 54 acres. We own that jointly with the city of Dickson. We've been approached by Tennessee Valley Authority several times about doing improvements to those properties to make them more marketable. We didn't see us getting involved in that because they were wanting to do a 50-50 split, and myself and Mayor Weiss both agreed that that was not a good idea, because for y'all that recall, in 2005, the site that Dow Tile's on now, the county did $890,000 borrowing to get those sites pad ready, which we sold to Dow Tile, who chewed up all the dirt and redid it again. So that was $890,000 out the window. So we're very conservative about bringing things back to you on that. But what TVA has done is they have partnered with the state of Tennessee, which is called a SDG grant, State Development Grant, where the state will participate in this, and they'll pick up 25% of it, with TVA picking up 50%. And just nod if I'm getting my percentages wrong, because I'm about to have cataract surgery. I'm going to be able to see here in a week or two. But on that, they will pick up additional 25. So what that leaves us with is instead of a 50% match needed, we need a 25% match, which that total amount is $300,000. The city of Dickson is going to take it up at their meeting. Mayor Weiss is in favor of that, where they pay $150,000 and we pay $150,000. We have the funds in our hotel motel tax, the 172 fund, to match this. This is one on a grant because of the funds involved. We have to get the approval of the commission to apply for the grant and go forward with it, because they don't want to go through all their due diligence working with TVA and the state to do this. But the hotel motel tax has the funds to do this. What we're looking for is permission to do this, with the caveat that the city of Dickson join us as partners on this. Be glad to answer any questions. This is good, positive stuff. I just can't smile today. I'm tired. Get you one of those. Okay, I'm looking forward for a motion. A second gets us on the regular session. Motion by Commissioner Simpkins. Do you have a second? Second by Commissioner Buckner. And thank you for the wave from Commissioner Spicer. Let's just get it started. Typically, when you start the wave, you start on one end and work around on that. Okay, but is there no other questions? All in favor of putting this on the regular agenda, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. Is there any other new business that needs to be brought up by the commission? Under other business, on here you have on your desk, the commission has copies of the annual reports from fee officers for fiscal period ending 6/30/2021. It's required that this is disclosed to you by Tennessee Code Annotated Sections 5-8-505 and Tennessee Code Annotated Section 67-5-1902. I know that's just been laid upon your desk today. I see that Ms. Pendergrass is more than glad to stay late and answer any questions you may have on this. Oh, well, I'm sorry, the county clerk too. And anybody else we can get on phone, we'll let them help answer questions. That has been disclosed to you. Other business, our other information I'd like to give you, we're still, Mr. Fisher is on top of having meetings over the COVID issue, just as we did all last year. I'd like to deliver you some good news, but I think all you got to do is turn on either Fox or MSNBC or anything in between, and you see what's going on out there. It's, you know, we're at capacity on beds in hospitals. I know the Horizon, they're using their rehab portion of the hospital right now is for patients. So if you need rehab from knee surgery or something like that, those are kind of things that are having to wait right now. So all we can do is tell you that we're in a better position we were last year as far as understanding it. We have all the personal protection equipment that we need. We're well stocked on that. There's good cooperation between all the medical facilities. I think Mr. Fisher, when he has those calls once a week, he has participants between 20 and 25 different governmental units or healthcare providers that participate in this. And I think, you know, everyone's taking it quite serious. So do what you think's right on your vaccinations, wash your hands, stay out of crowds, just do all them things our mamas told us when we were little boys and little girls on that. But I wish I could tell you a lot more good news on that, but that it is what it is. So we move forward with that. As y'all know, Dickson County was struck by the floods on August 21st on that. Our Emergency Operations Center went to work that morning about 7 o'clock on that Saturday morning. That was, Mr. Fisher led that as our Emergency Management Director, coordinating with all the emergency services in Dickson County, including all of our friends at the Highway Department and the good work they did, the City of Dickson. And I hate to start listing because I'm going to leave somebody out, Volunteer Fire, or City of Dickson Fire. It was a good effort. I go to the Emergency Operations Center to view because there's trained professionals there. They don't need me in the way. You'd be very proud of them and how they act and what they do. Highway Department had its hand full, but we had, after everything was taken care of in Dickson County, I think we had 11 total home losses with other damages. We had no loss of life. We had one injury from one of our deputies who was off duty being rescued from his home on that. So considering what went on in Humphreys County, we were very fortunate. That's easy to say when it didn't happen in our houses, but we have made room in our county government building for the Red Cross. We have FEMA working out of the YMCA, and we have the SBA, Small Business Administration. They're working out of the Chamber of Commerce buildings now. So all the pieces fell in place. Everybody's pulling the rope as hard as they can to get things done on that. So you know, I think that covers all the basic stuff. If you've got questions from Mr. Fisher, Mr. Bear obviously is a backup to Mr. Fisher, and Heather Ambulance Service has a large hand in it. But very proud of them. It was you saw a lot of things that day, but we were sending aid to Humphreys County probably by 10:30, 11 o'clock that morning after we had our house in order on the same day. So had several big events that happened on the interstate following the week, but again, our people are great. Made a 180-degree turn from flood damage, flood recovery, took care of some fatality accidents on the interstate, and then minutes later re-engaged and got back to flood stuff. So I'm very proud of them. I'm proud of the people we have, and we're very lucky in Dickson County on that. Any questions or comments on anything?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Mr. Weeks, and how's the school doing as far as the school is doing?
Thanks for the question. Our staff are holding their own. Our student numbers continue to go up. Last week we were in the neighborhood of 20 to 22 staff and probably in the neighborhood of 60 to 70 students. We as a board, or the Board of Education, made the decision 2 weeks ago that we would no longer do the contact tracing through our schools. And those of you that are familiar with contact tracing, if you are within a 6-foot radius of somebody for more than 15 minutes who tested positive, you were having to go home. And so there were an awful lot of folks being sent home from school that were not necessarily positive, but they're in that probable case or questionable case. And so we We believe that is, and the State Department of Health has told us that's the health department's job, it's not our job. We did that all last year, and we continued to start the school year by contact tracing, and so we believe now it's, our attendance rates, we hope will come up from that, because, you know, students are not required to be home. We're notifying parents that it's their option to keep their children at home for that 10-day period if they'd like to. That went into effect Friday, so obviously Friday, we were out of school yesterday, out of school today, so we'll see what effect that has on our attendance rates this week, and hopefully that's you know, is going to be positive for us. The governor's office has now allowed us on a limited basis to allow for some virtual schooling if we need to. We've been under the process the last, I guess we've been in school 5 weeks already, maybe 6. We have not been able to transition to virtual schooling like we did last year. And so the governor's office has allowed me the flexibility to request a waiver to send a classroom or a grade level of a school home. I cannot close the whole district, I can't close the whole school like we did last year, but this year on a day-by-day basis, if we need to close, say there's a breakout in one of our schools and an entire group of students have to be out or something like that, we can transition into that virtual setting where they do their work from home, and I think that's going to be another positive for us. For those who are new to the commission, we have computers for all of our students, and so our teachers can put their assignments on their devices even if they don't have internet at home. So we can put the assignments in there, they can go home and work on the assignments, and then when they come back on our campuses or go to many of the hot spots that are in the community, their assignments will automatically upload and the teacher can grade those. So that's going to be a positive for us as well if we have to transition to that thing. Mainly the waivers are allowed when we don't have staffing. So it's less of an issue with what our attendance rates are, more than do we have the staff to continue being productive while we're at school. And so that's the biggest question. You know, our substitute pool has gone down from last year. We contract with a local provider here of substitutes, and they're just, you know, as mentioned earlier about the lack of workforce and people not wanting to work, and so substitute teaching is a challenging job, and you know, we're always looking for good substitutes and people that want to substitute, but there are still a number of those that are you know, think maybe afraid to come back into the school setting and substitute teach, and so that makes it difficult for us. We have a lot of folks that are, in terms of our transportation department, a lot of folks, you know, who are driving buses, and so we have a lot of folks having to run 2 routes. Most of my mechanics are having to drive almost every day, and even some of our staff and our leaders are having to drive. A lot of them have their license and doing that every day as well. So we're hanging in there. I'm thankful for our staff every day. They do a great job of what they're doing, and you know, we even looked at closing a couple of days last week, but you know, knowing the fair's coming up this week, knowing ball games are going on and things that way, you know, we found that our students were not staying home when they were quarantined. You know, they were out everywhere else. They were at Walmart, they were at the coffee shops, they were everywhere running around, and so you know, for us to say close and stay home, it's a different attitude and a different atmosphere than it was last year, because I think a lot of people did those things, and so now we've put that responsibility back on the parents to make those decisions, and we're going to continue teaching and learning, which I believe that's our job. And so while we're doing that, yes, sir.
Is it mandatory for all in the school system to be vaccinated?
No, sir, it is not.
So it's voluntary?
It is. We
How many percentage is it of the teachers and everything is not vaccinated?
I can't answer that specifically, Mr. Dawson, other than I can say we provided vaccinations to, you know, both opportunities last year, and out of our 800 employees, I can say about 450 came through our lines. Now, you know, they may have been vaccinated through a clinic or their local providers or things like that, but the clinic that we sponsor with the county government and with the Dickson City, we had more than 450 of our employees do that, and you know, again, we know that doesn't necessarily stop you from getting COVID, but it you know, protects you from the effects of it, and maybe if you do catch it, it's not as severe. So
Well, they say the majority of us getting COVID ain't vaccinated, so I just wondered.
If you were to just ask me off the top of my head, I'm probably gonna say 2/3 of our staff, I believe 2/3 would be
What about the
easily.
county, all the people in the county, is that requirement for vaccination, or is they just?
No, it's not a requirement.
What about you? You been vaccinated?
Yes, sir. I was number 1 in line today. Yes, sir. Want to set that example.
Is the school enrollment up this year, is it about the same, or what is it?
It's about the same as it was, I'm gonna say about 4 years ago. Now, you know, this is really the first 20-day period where they start, you know, comparing all the ins and outs, and, you know, lots of students, we have to chase them down, and we have to find out, if they didn't come back from last year. We are up probably 350 students over last year, but last year we had a pretty good drop because there were several kindergarten parents that did not bring their children to school at all, and we looked diligently for them, but you know, when we don't have a record of who they are and we don't even know who those children are, we were significantly down last year. So probably 350 to 400 students last year. So we have returned to normal. It's probably the best answer.
Masks are optional.
Masks are optional. Encouraged but optional.
What's gonna happen if this thing keeps getting worse? So the school district, county and all, what's gonna happen? I mean, has anybody got a foresight of a plan or whatever?
We have our plan to, if necessary, return to a virtual environment, but we know all students don't learn well and perform well in that environment. So I can only speak for what we know and control, and that one above my pay grade.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you.
While I'm here, would you mind if I
No,
made
I
an
wish you would. I was
announcement too?
gonna, but they were done. I'd like for you to do that.
Commissioners, we had the opportunity today, speaking of last year, you know, our students worked very hard last year, even though several of them were remote learning. Our teachers worked very hard last year, and we appreciate all the work they did. And we were very privileged in Dickson County to try to keep our doors open, and we were open much more than many districts around us. I think you know that, and I hope you're proud of that. We worked hard to do that. We spent extra money sanitizing, cleaning, working to keep our doors open. And today we had the opportunity to share some of that good news with our staff. Each year the State Department of Education recognizes schools that they call reward schools. And a reward school is a school that's performing in the top 5% of the schools in the state of Tennessee. And so we were blessed to have 4 of those this year. And so I'd like to recognize Stuart Burns, Discovery School, Centennial, and Oakmont. And those schools, Mayor Ryle and I went around with some of my staff, and we recognized that it was a complete surprise to all those principals and staffs. The staffs were working in their rooms, or working together, and so we walked in kind of surprised them today and carried them a cake and celebrated a little bit with them. But it's truly an honor to have a reward school in your district. This year, to have 4 of those for a district our size is very remarkable, and so it tells you again how much our students and teachers, how hard they worked last year. And it's not just about your score, so it's not just that our students scored high on the test, higher than everybody else in the state, but I don't get too deep in the weeds, but there's a projection called TVAS, and TVAS is where you're projected to score. And so our students scored over and above what they were projected to score. So those are called level 5s. And so level 5 schools are those schools that are pushing students harder than they would be expected to perform. So if they're expected to perform at a certain level, they perform much higher than those. And so in order to be a reward school, you had to have high scores, but you also had to have a level 5 school that's advancing and pushing the kids very hard to do that. And so again, to have those 4 level 5s, or excuse me, those 4 reward schools, we were very blessed with those, and I appreciate the mayor taking time today to go around and help me recognize those schools. In about 3 weeks, we're going to have opportunity to recognize our level 5 schools, and so those are the schools again that pushed kids harder than they were expected to achieve. And so if any of you would like to go around with me when we recognize your schools in your districts, we had I'm not gonna tell you how many we had, because they don't know either. But we want to surprise them again in a few weeks. So if you'll be watching your email toward the end of the month, if you'd like to go around with me to the schools in your district, or if you want to spend the entire day with us and go around and see all those schools, we had several. And so I'd welcome you to do that with us. If you can spare hour, a couple hours of your time, or if you just want to see your schools, probably 10, 15 minutes, and just doing that with us, we'd love for you to do that with us. So be checking your emails toward the end of the month, or the 1st of October, and we'll recognize those level 5 schools and let you show your appreciation to those principals and staffs for doing that.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Dr. Weeks. And I appreciate Dr. Weeks allowing me to go with them today. It was a good time, and I told them about your appreciation for them and how serious that this commission takes education in this county, and how they understand that y'all support it. And again, I know over the years that's always been a big battle, but it's less of a battle as we go by, and I appreciate y'all's work to help them. Any other business or any announcements anyone needs to make on anything coming up? I know we have the one, I'm sorry, you want to go ahead?
I was just gonna announce
The Charlotte Festival, yes.
On the Saturdays, planning on kind of going back to the routine, I think, festival, so that's what they're planning.
It's always a good time. You'll get to see me and Commissioner Simpkins riding a car if nothing else, so it's worth coming to see that. Yes.
White Bluff's having their annual street fall festival the second Saturday in October.
Okay,
I'll let it get shut down.
good. Appreciate it. We'll keep that out there. And Commissioner McElwain, you want to talk about the one we discussed?
Slavin's having theirs Saturday, September 11th, starting at 4 o'clock, food, just money goes towards the community center, just maintain it.
All right. That's good. Selica's Fest. Yeah, and I think everyone, if you hadn't checked your emails, you've probably received an email today from Martha Shepard about David Shepard's memorial service that's going to be on October the 2nd, Saturday. So again, I'll remind you of that in our regular meeting in September, but just want to bring that to your attention, because we've got a lot of things like we do every fall. At least in my life, Labor Day happens, and then it's Christmas Day, and I don't know what happens in between, so hang on. But I want to make sure y'all know about that and have that on your calendar. Trying to think anything else. Is there something else? Are we talking about something else? We'll wait till he picks some money. Okay, the Brain Trust got together. We have nothing else. I would like to hear from a younger man how he spends his birthday. What happened on August 28th? You can't? See, that's why a younger man, an old man wants to hear from a young man. What goes on these days? Well, I hope you had a good birthday. Good. Well, there's no other announcements. The last one will be, the next work session will be on October 4th at 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Beaverdale Booty Reed Jr. County Commission Chamber of the Dickson County Administration Building, 4 Court Square, Charlotte, Tennessee. Have a motion second adjourn? Thank you.
Recording stopped.